You are listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report, episode 142.2, our girls basketball scoreboard for Wednesday's games in Blackford, Delaware, Grant, Howard, Madison, Tipton, and Northern Hamilton counties. Co-hosted by Michelle Garmon of the Tipton Tribune and Elwood Call Leader, with a conversation with Eastern head coach Sara Murphy.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengelt.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Whenever you've chosen to listen to the Central Indiana Sports Report, thank you so much for being with us. Today is January 8th, 2025. It's a Wednesday, so it's another day for the Central Indiana Sports Report. I'm Greg Mengelt. That is Michelle Garmon. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you, Greg. It's always a pleasure to be here. I enjoy it. Enjoy the podcast. I think it's getting to talk sports is always nice, and sometimes it's a little nicer than having to write about it because
That's right.
I've always said if I could just develop an app to where it would write for me, as I was thinking or talking and go back and magically erase. Sometimes it would be so much easier. But I'm really excited tonight, because our lone coach that we talked to for this segment, Sara Murphy, she got her first career win. This is Sara's first season, and it's extra special to me because Sara played sixth grade girls basketball for me at Tipton. She was on the second team I coached, and then she later came back her senior year when she was commuting back and forth from Purdue. She coached with me, which was fantastic. I loved it. Sara's very special. I always felt honored. She invited me to when her and Mike got married. And
So is this the first win for the Michelle Garmon coaching tree?
No.
Oh, okay.
I also coached Leela.
Oh, okay. So
And she just came along later. Leela was on one of my later teams. So
the Michelle Garmon coaching tree is going strong.
Well,
And we expect Sara to do good things at Eastern.
I do. I mean, just a great young lady. She comes from a great family, and folks, I know people in Hamilton County and Tipton County are familiar with the Newcombs, and her dad is Randy and her mom is Terry. Her parents are Randy and Terry, and they're just great. She's got lots of uncles and fun. They're just a neat, fun family. They make you laugh.
All right, Michelle, before we get to the highlights of our local games, let me go through the area scoreboard. And we start, of course, with Eastern's first win of the season and Coach Sara Murphy's first varsity coaching win as Eastern defeated rival Taylor 49-31. They'd come close a couple of times earlier this season. Really good to see them get the win. Nothing again against Taylor. Madison Grant blew by Tipton 52-21. Sheridan is 13-1 after a 55-45 win over University. Kokomo had a slow start but beat Northwestern 63-37. Southwood upset Marion 46-41. And Peru edged Tri-Central 45-39. And some other games of interest in the area. Whitco took control of the Three Rivers Conference with a 74-53 win over Wabash. Whitco tied for the championship last year, I believe, with Rochester. Noblesville took out Cathedral 64-40. Westfield beat Chittard 48-40. Eastern Hancock beat Blue River Valley 59-21 in a Mid-Eastern Conference game. Mount Vernon won its 13th game of the season, 66-32 over Decatur Central. And in the Randolph County Tournament, Monroe Central won its 10th game of the year, 61-25 over Union. Before we get to the highlights, don't forget, please, to go like, subscribe, or follow us. We are on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Central Indiana Sports Report, and it's really easy to find. All right, Michelle, let's get to Eastern's first win of the season, 49-31 over Taylor. The Comets are now 1-15. Coach Murphy had particular praise for junior Elle Winger. She and freshman Gianna Beachy, who's been running the point for the Comets all season as a freshman. They scored 10 points apiece. Senior Kinsey Eagle and senior Marley Cone scored 8 points apiece, and freshman Laney Newland finished with 7. The Comets host 6 and 9 Delphi in a conference game on Friday. Before we get to Coach Murphy, Michelle, thoughts? Any further thoughts on the win?
Yes, I think that the nice thing for Coach Murphy and for Eastern is, they started out the season with, hardly any experience, and, they battled hard and played hard, and they have a tough schedule, but they've started getting closer to win. So it's really great to see them come away with the win on Wednesday night. And to me, I think it's especially nice because it came after they had a long and a little bit longer night at Cowan than what they counted on. You'll hear Coach Murphy talk about it. Something about a little wrong turn on the bus ride to Cowan. So that's huge, and not only to get the win on Wednesday, but to do it in a back-to-back situation, and that's fabulous. And I hope it springboards them on to even more success this season. But I really believe Sarah's going to get that program headed back in the right direction, and probably a direction they haven't really been in since like the Neely twins and were there, and Jeremy Dexter was the coach. So.
And here is our conversation with Coach Sara Murphy, although I should probably say it's mostly Michelle's conversation with Coach Murphy. I kind of let her take charge of it since you have that personal relationship. But it was very nice of her to join us, and always good to have a first-time Central Indiana Sports Report guest.
All right, we're here with Sara Murphy. Yes, victorious Sara Murphy, who got her first career win tonight in her first season as the Eastern girls varsity head coach. Again, congratulations, Sarah. I'm really happy for you. I'm happy for your players, and I know you're like a mother to all of them. You've always been, even when you as a high school player, your teammates, you always did that nice mother role, and so I know have to be elated for the girls.
I am. I'm absolutely ecstatic for them. They worked really hard to get to where they are right now, and they started out uh everything against them pretty much. We returned one starter this year. Um, Several girls have stepped into roles. I've got freshmen starting varsity that have never played in a varsity game before. We just kind of threw them to the wolves, and they all have worked extremely hard to get the W tonight. I'm really proud of them.
I know it was you had some tough losses early, then a stretch where it was kind of rough, but here lately, I mean, you were just kept getting closer and closer, and then you finally got it tonight.
Yes, yeah. We have a really tough schedule. We're playing some really, really good teams, and what people aren't seeing publicly is that they're getting better. And you lose by 40 and people are seeing the score in the paper, but they're not seeing the actual team working, and especially behind the scenes. Um, we went to Cowan last night and lost by 2, but really they executed well. We just had trouble getting the ball to fall in that gym, and that happens on the road sometimes. But finally tonight, they really, really came together as a team, and it was a full team effort. We had spread scoring. Every girl who played tonight scored 4 or more. They were finding the openings. They were getting back on defense. They executed well. I'm really proud of them for that.
Hey, Coach, this is Greg Mengel. Thanks for joining the Central Indiana Sports Report. How hard is it to keep spirits high, not just for yourself, but for your kids when you're going through games like that?
Yeah, that's been a tough one this season. I have coached the same team there at Eastern through the middle school from 4th grade to 7th grade. So stepping into this role where the varsity team hasn't necessarily been real successful over the past few years has been interesting for me. The girls on this team They work hard, but they don't show a lot of emotion. So it's hard to read them to see, if they're actually down or if they're processing. So we're kind of learning from each other as the season goes on. And what I've found, as it turns out, is that they really don't get down. They don't. They do a really good job of next play. We talk about that a lot in practice. Like, something bad happens, it doesn't matter. We're on to the next play. And we use that a lot in the locker room. So they just don't get down on themselves. They just bounce back, and they're constantly hungry and looking for ways to get better. And that's really phenomenal for this group of girls, considering the past 4 years that they've played.
Sarah, who played well for you tonight, and especially on the defensive end, because I know that the Harris girl from Taylor she's pretty good, and she's hard. She's
Yes,
very athletic.
yes, she was definitely on our radar this evening. We actually threw in a box and one tonight, which is not something that these girls have ever run. But we put Elle Winger on her, and Elle played some phenomenal man-to-man defense. She had one foul the whole time, denied the ball. She got a lot of steals. But she pressured her the whole time, never left her side. And when you take her out of the game, Taylor struggled under the basket. So all credit to her, because she did it 4 quarters. She never got a break, and then ended up hitting a couple threes for us that really kind of pulled her out of her shooting slump. So I'm excited for her this evening, definitely.
Anybody else that you felt like played well? I mean, I know you said everybody, at least everybody who played, scored 4 points or more. So I know it was a total team win. But was there anybody else that maybe got hot, or you've been kind of had a breakout performance?
Yeah. Well, so we had Gianna Beachy handles the ball for us this year. She's just a freshman. She came off of a team that, she's been the ball handler for all of the teams that she's played for, but she's been really selfless this season. She's looking for assists, she's looking for passes, and she had 5 steals this evening off of their second guard, little number 5 that they had out there, just crossing over in front of her, steal the ball, go to the basket. She played some phenomenal defense tonight too, and had 10 points. Her and Winger both had 10. And then Cohen and Eagle, we really got on Kinsey Eagle to block out. We were struggling in the first quarter, and she ended up pulling down 11 rebounds for us after she got the groove of finding the weak side and boxing out. So credit to both of them too. And then, Lainey Newland's also a freshman. She kind of got thrown to the wolves because Allie Houston had been down and hurt. And we kind of make a joke at practice. We're going ankles for ankles because Lainey's got a hurt ankle and Allie's got a hurt ankle. So we kind of switch them in and out together. But even them together, 7 points, 4 points, 8 rebounds for Lainey Newland, a block and a steal for Allie as a senior. It was really important to us tonight to get those seniors in and give them a full time to play and enjoy after the way the rest of our season is gone. So, I just wanted to make sure that I gave credit to my coaching staff and our bench players. They, all of them show up every day. They push those top 5 or 6 girls to be better. And we spend a lot of time talking about making each other better, and just to see them lit up, standing up on the sideline tonight, cheering for their team, even though they didn't get any minutes, was definitely a highlight of the game that I didn't want to miss. All credit to all 11 girls that I have for both teams, because, if they're not in the game, they're definitely pushing each other behind the scenes, and that's not something everybody gets to see. So I want to make sure that they get their credit where it's due. And, my assistant and JV coach and another assistant, they show up, and they show up for these girls, and they show up with a plan, and they make sure that I'm calm and they're feeding me information from behind me and keeping me in the game and keeping us going. So I just want to make sure that I let them know they're appreciated, and I'm proud of all of them too. So
Coach, that's why you're going to be a success.
Taylor is now 3-14. They go to 9-5 Rossville on Friday. And for Taylor, you also have a special place in your heart for their head coach.
Yeah, I do. With Tiffany Longworth Borf, she came awful close to being a Blue Devil. Her dad worked at Delco in Kokomo, but they lived in Anderson because her mother was going to school to be a teacher, taking classes at Ball State. So, kind of made the halfway or not. So when Mel was done, she started looking for teaching jobs, and she applied at Tipton. They were going to come back because she's a hop. She graduated from Tipton. But no. They didn't hire her, but Kokomo did, and
lucky them.
Lucky them. There went Tiffany, and Carrie Stover happened to be there, and Miss Tina Oliver was lived in the Tri-Central District and played for Tri-Central in junior high, but she ended up in Kokomo. She had family up there and had played some AAU ball, with those kids, and Coach Mike McCroskey got what I call the trio, and wow, that trio accomplished a lot at Kokomo. I mean, in the long run, they all made the right choice because, they got to celebrate something pretty special, and that was back in one class basketball, and it was pretty special. Yeah, but I've always enjoyed Tiffany. I followed her as a player, get to know her pretty well. So yeah, I love what she's doing at Taylor as well. She's having
3 wins after 1 last year, so
yeah,
3 times as many wins as last year.
Yes, and and not only that, it's she's having to teach them really kind of organized ball, getting a system in a defensive and an offensive system, and I think she's doing that, and she's making strides with that, and it doesn't happen overnight.
Big win for the Madison Grant Argyles on Wednesday evening, and 5 points for Greg. Thank you so much to the Lady Argyles. Madison Grant 52, Tipton 21. It was 29-10 at the half. Madison Grant's lead. The Argyles are now 4-12. Sophomore Olivia Dunham led the way with 9 points. Senior Marley Neiman, who's in my class this semester, scored 8 points. Sophomore Abby Winchester and AJ Hayes and freshman Grace Wood, 6 points apiece. The Argyles host 4-11 Southwood. Southwood, of course, will be coming off a huge win over Marion on Wednesday night. We'll get to that one here in just a second. Tipton was led by sophomore Mackenzie Farinellis, 10 points, and sophomore Michaela Shinlobs, 5. The Blue Devils are at 12-3 Lewis Cass on Tuesday. By the way, Madison Grant, they finished with 9 3-pointers. Olivia Dunham, all 9 of her points came on 3 3-pointers. Grace Wood and Madeline Holloway had 2 3-pointers apiece. So you were right. A lot of 3-pointers for the Argyles, and when they're doing that, they got a pretty nice team.
They do, and and good kudos to Jace because they found that, and if they can continue to capitalize on that, I mean, Madison Grant could play some spoilers somewhere down the line somewhere. I mean, so you never know, and kudos to Madison Grant. It sounds like those kids are taking it, and they're probably, if they're hitting 9 3-pointers, they've got some kids that are probably putting in some extra shots.
Kokomo beat Northwestern 63-37 at Kokomo. Northwestern led 10-0 after the first quarter. Kokomo then outscored them 53-27 the rest of the way. They did it by forcing 29 turnovers, and they did it with a lot of balance. The 12-5 Wildcats had 8 players with at least 4 points. Senior Michaela Drake had 11. Freshman Jordan Brown had, and senior Satara Scott 10 points apiece. Ooh, I'm starting to struggle here, Michelle. Senior A.V. Pollard scored 9. Junior Amara Stroman and junior Eliana Stewart had 8 points apiece. Brown also had 7 steals. Stewart also had 5 rebounds. Stroman also had 4 assists. The Wildcats are at 2 and 13 Logansport on Friday. Northwestern is now 6 and 9. They were led by a big game from senior Berkeley Ray, who had 12 points, 12 rebounds, and 2 block shots. Senior Anna Bisher had 8 points and 2 blocks. Sophomore Izzy Eric finished with 7 points and 6 rebounds. Northwestern hosts 15 and 1 Oak Hill next Wednesday. Southwood beat Marion 46-41. The Giants fall to 7 and 10 with the loss. Freshman Naomi Hahn scored 17 and freshman Jaylee Townsend scored 15 for 32 of the Giants' 41 points. Marion has a big conference game on Friday when they host 7 and 8 Richmond. 4 and 11 Southwood is at 4 and 12 Madison Grant on Saturday afternoon. And Sheridan improved to 13 and 1 with a 55-45 win at University. Senior Kinsey Garner had 19 points. She is now 4th on Sheridan's all-time scoring list.
Sheridan, what a nice team. It is. Jalen's, they're having a great year. I'll be honest, I'm kind of looking forward to seeing him in the sectional, which is now, folks, that sectional is less than a month away.
And they play LaPel here coming up real soon. So
yes, and
who's in their sectional?
Yes, that's going to be a fun game to see as well. If you get the chance, I think that's on next Tuesday, the 14th. So I might have to see if that's streaming or who all's playing next Tuesday. I'm not sure who is playing, so to check that out.
And Peru beat Tri-Central 45-39. Tri-Central is now 6 and 10. They go to 13 and 1 Sheridan on Friday in a girls-boys doubleheader. Like I said, Michelle, our picks are the opposite with the boys and girls. I now have a 49-36 lead in the girls picks competition after outscoring you 7-1 on Wednesday. I picked Marion by 14. You took Marion by more, and Southwood won. If it's double figures, Michelle, I'm not taking the point because that's embarrassing. Technically, I should get that point, but no. All right. I picked Kokomo by 20 over Northwestern. You said it would be more. It finished 26, so you get that point. I said Sheridan by 21 over University. You said more. It finished 10. I picked Taylor by a point. You said it would be more, and Taylor won, so I get that point. Easter won, so I get that point. And I'm by the way, I am happy. Yes, you are.
I am very happy to give him that point. And Greg knows I came close to almost taking Eastern. I just thought that road trip to Callan the night before, but so I will gladly forfeit that point for Sarah to get her first win.
Michelle, we got a late score, so you got another point here. I said Peru by 17 over Tri-Central. You said it would be less, and it ended up 6. Nice performance by Tri-Central. We don't have any updates or stats, but to play within 6 points, that's a pretty good performance.
It is on the road, especially because Tri-Central has not really played well here of late. So, they need to make a turn as they head towards sectional to be competitive.
I had Madison Grant. You had Tipton. That's what's going to make or break this picks tournament. Madison Grant, thank you, girls, won for me. So now I have a 49-37 lead. But we do have 5 games on Thursday. So here we go, Michelle. Here are the picks for Thursday's games. 4 of these are, of course, in the Madison County tournament. 10-6 Pendleton Heights versus 17-0 Alexandria, the one that we've kind of been waiting for to show us exactly how good Alexandria is. And I say Pendleton by 3.
Well, I picked Alexandria to win the tournament, and I'm going to stay with that. And I know I could very well be wrong, and if I am, I am. And if I am, that could be a good loss for Alexandria, because I think Mickey, they'll learn from it. And if it is a loss, it's not a bad loss because that Pendleton Heights is in a great conference, and They're
That's a really good team.
yeah, and they're a really good team, and they're a 4A team. So, then no shame to be a 2A team and lose to a 4A team.
But if they can beat them.
But if they can beat them, but I'm going to stay with Mickey and Jacqueline and Lily Harp, who has a Tipton connection. I covered her dad when he was an athlete at Tipton.
Always comes back to Tipton.
And her uncle. So, I'll stay with them. I think that this Alec team could do something special, and I hope they do, just because they've put a lot of time and effort into it. So
10-3, Elwood is at 6-9. Frankton, Michelle, I say Frankton by 1.
And I know, and he's doing that, hoping to take the. But I think it's going to be that close to. I think it's going to be a nail biter. But I will say I'm going to stay with Frankton. I'm going to say more, and the reason I'm going to say more is mainly because that game is being played at the Eagles' Nest, and when you're on your own home court, and Elwood's in a position that Elwood hasn't been in. Emma Key and Sophia Hoagland, they've had successes in these big games. They know what these big games are like, and really for Elwood, this is the first time this group has been in a pressure game. They're always the underdog, and you like that underdog role, and it is good. But this is the first time that it's probably kind of even odds, and that they're really playing for something. So it'll be interesting, and because of that, I do think Frankton's experience a little bit. The fact they're on the home court, I think they will win. I think it's going to be a hard-fought game. These two teams play again towards the end of January, or at the end of January. So, I'm not so sure that the winner will win the second match. I mean, that's how good. But I will take the Eagles tomorrow night. Nothing against you Panthers. I'm not, because you've got some young talent. You just don't quite have that experience that Frankton's going to bring in with Emma Key and Sophia Hoagland and the Curtises and Laney Hammaker. It's
right.
A little different.
10-6, LaPel faces 1-15 Anderson in the consolation bracket. They played each other earlier this year. LaPel won by 30, but LaPel is playing even better than they were at that point. So I say LaPel by 34.
Yeah, LaPel's trying to get ready for the sectional, because they're in that sectional with Sheridan. It's going to be, interesting. I'll say more. I think you're probably right. Could be a little under. I think that was a good pick and projection on your part, Greg. So I'll say more.
1-3 Liberty Christian is at 9-5 Anderson Prep. Anderson Prep beat Liberty 77-61 earlier in the year. I think it's going to be even more this time, Michelle, especially with the issues Liberty's having with just 5 players. I say Anderson Prep by 27.
I think you hit it right, the nail right, probably on the head. I think it's probably
that's my job.
It is. I think it's a 25 to 35 point game. I think Anderson Prep with Olivia Peoples. I was really not shocked that Frankton's girls won. I was shocked how much they dominated that game. I think Anderson Prep, though, they will turn, and so I'll say more, because you're right. Liberty Christian, they haven't really played enough games. They had to play against Delaware with 4 players at times. So,
and if somebody fouls out, that changes the whole formula.
It does.
And finally, 4-10 Newcastle at 14-2 Wapahani. Wapahani by 18 is my prediction.
More.
Thank you, Michelle, for your time. Always appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun. 2 nights in a row being able to do live scoreboards.
Yes, it has. Of course, have another big night on Thursday.
Thank you so much to Michelle for joining me again. Second night in a row we got to do a live podcast. I doubt we're going to be able to make it 3, but it is possible that we will do it again on Thursday night. And thank you to Eastern head coach Sara Murphy for joining the Central Indiana Sports Report for the first time. Always great to have first-time guests. And thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, or follow. We are on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and YouTube. Please do that now so you don't miss a single segment. And please tell a friend about the Central Indiana Sports Report.
Say what?
The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media.
You
Say
have,
it.
you have to write it down.
No, just try.
Okay, tell me it again.
The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media.
The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media.
I knew you'd nail it. Thank you.
You're using that in yours.
Yeah, I am. Thanks, Keegan.